Hello YouTube fans, here again. And as we know, we're now going to the 84 marathon. That's right, 84, so why not this one? Follow up from the indie film, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Bit of history and a bit of a review. Now, after the success in 81 with Raiders of the Lost Ark, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg decided to dive in and do another one. Now, it took them a few days to make the next one, and they was going to call it, believe it or not, Raiders of the Lost Ark 2. Not making it up, they're going to call it Raiders of the Lost Ark 2. They was going to bring Nancy Iron to play the role as Marion, but at the time, she was doing another film called Starman. Good film, I remember reviewing it. And they decided to alter it. Decided, no, this Indiana Jones character, it's from the serial novels from the 50s, the 30s and 40s, the typical Tiff Danger serial stories. So decided, why not alter it, make it their own character, bring back Harrison Ford, which he obviously plays his role as Inda, and they called it Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and the rest is history. That's why I never ever called Raiders Indiana Jones and Raiders. To me, Raiders was its own film, same as this is its own film, and it definitely is. And you could say in many ways this is a prequel. It's a prequel because Raiders of the Lost Ark was based on 1936. This, on the other hand, is 1935. Interesting bit of history. They changed the to this typical Bond, your typical sort of like a Marilyn Monroe sort of wants to be a movie star, she's singing. And it's a day opening, she sings that song, anything you go, anything goes. Does I'm doing a bad job, so if it doesn't go on that song. Now I do know when this come out, it was a lot darker than Raiders, and I do know when it come into this country, it was like they timmed down a bit. And I want to give you a bit of background story there. In America, this was one of the early films to be given a PG-13. And even though it's PG in this concept, they did have to, again, cut the violence. But happy to say, I've got the totally uncut and uncensored version of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Not going to say how I got it, but I've got it. And I'm going to tell you the bits that was cut down. Why not? I'm on a roll. So you've got that evil Indian guy with the same hairstyle as me, tattoo on his head. And there's a scene, if you all remember, where he rips the guy's heart out. Where people thought that was graphic, it's the uncut one. The uncut one, you see it go right into his chest. He pulls the frigging heart out. You see it all heal up, really graphic. There's a lot more of him getting plunged into the fire. There's a lot more of the heart beating, and he's like that evil smile on his face when it's happening. That was a lot more graphic. There's a scene where Shorter, the little lad, gets ripped, and Harrison Ford actually swears in it, in a scene, because one of them a bastard. That was so, but in the cut one, it was cut down slightly. So yeah, there's definitely two scenes, not a lot to run home about, but I do actually prefer it uncut, because uncut, I feel it had more of an impact. It had the darkness of it, and when you think about it, just like Raiders, there's bits in it where it just feel like an horror film. Even though it's an adventure film, it feels like a bloody horror film. It feels like an horror film. Indian guy pulling guys' hearts out, bugs, insects, kids getting ripped, people being sacrificed, you name it. This film is balls. It's sort of film now I don't think you get away with. Even for a PG, you wouldn't get away with seeing kids getting ripped, kids being slaves, people's hearts getting ripped out and plunged into fire. Now we do know they actually had this machine dummy that pulled its face like this in the scene where they plunged it in fire. And I never knew. I actually thought it was a real person. It was only back in the day there was a making back in the day. And this is why I hate CGI. I could be enough to despise CGI. I despise it. Because in my eyes, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom had it all. It had it all. And when I remember saying this before on a review, that I always felt like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was a fun ride. It was a fun ride. I always felt like Raiders had that horror and adventure feel, and Temple of Doom was more of a fun ride. And the Last Crusade, to me, which I felt should have been the last one because it was a damn good one, was more of a heart to it and did have a bit more of an adventure feel to it. That's how I see all of them. But I have no faults with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I do love the bit where he's in the tomb and he's got to go to Indra to find his magical egg and you know, the magic stones. We all remember the scene where they're eating stools' heads and they're eating bugs and they got Indian dye, he's eating them baby eels. Then he puts you off, which was funny enough. It was done, like I said, it was done in Octopussy, where once more we've seen all those people eating bugs and that. And I was wondering whether they used this idea from Octopussy. But I got a bit Temple of Doom was a lot more graphic in that scene than it would Dora. I do love the bit where, when you think about it, there's a bit in it where they make Harrison Ford as Inda drink that blood and it makes him go evil for a slight bit. So that's what I mean, this has a darkness to it. I do know that over the days Steven Spielberg didn't like it, and I don't know why, because it's a dud one. So this, believe it or not, had a bad finger, and I never knew, because when this come out, Steven Spielberg also had the recess of doing Gremlins in 1984. So he did two big films in 1984. He did Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, one I'm reviewing now, and he also did Gremlins. And I never knew this film was a bad writing. People said, oh, it's not that good as Raiders, blah, blah, blah. But over this, it became a total classic. And again, practical effects. That's why I had faults with Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. I had faults with it. All CGI, got CGI monkeys, a CGI jungle, CGI steels. There was even one point where I was thinking of giving Harrison Ford a CGI rip, the old man jokes. This, you don't get any of that. You don't get it. And one thing, Harrison Ford looks bloody dud. And I do know that he had to do a lot of a workout when he actually did this. He worked out a lot more. He was pumping out muscles, and he actually injured his back in one scene. So there's bits in it where you can see straight away it's a stunt man. It's a stunt man. But I choose that over shitty CGI any day of the week. I love the bit where he's on that roller coaster thing and they're moving about here, there, everywhere, and they're spinning about. I actually like that. I thought that was that good little touch. Like I said, the bit where they got the bugs and the girl's going, ah, she's screaming and she pulls the leaf on, the spikes are going down. I do actually love that. Just like Raiders, there's a little bit of just like Raiders, there's a cock up in it, because there's a scene in it with Sorter, the little kid. He's jumping on the bridge, right? And the bridge caves in, you've got the meditators and chocks. You watch that halfway through the film, that bit of the bridge what is broken, you actually see it again where it's all intact. But it doesn't bother me. It's it's too a fun ride. And in all fairness, like I said before, do you actually go for Indiana Jones for realism? Do you go to Indiana Jones for realism? No, you go for escapism. And it's definitely a lot of escapism. It was taking up the old book serial comic guys, and I love it. So again, he's fighting that big bald guy. He's going to rip Harrison Ford's eye out. Harrison Ford gets the bet off. One lucky punch. He burns his hand. Falls. The jocks and agitators eat him. Saves the day. He snogs the dough. Happy ending. And again, you get that beautiful Indiana Jones theme. And I love it. I love Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I love it just as much as I love Raiders. I love the last Crusade. I'll get to that when I get to 89, which is the last of the action marathon. But to me, this is action. It has horror in it. Sort of repeat what I said. It has an offensive feel to it. It's a fun ride. It's a dud one. But then people, have a dud one. Be back for some more movies, more stuff on the way into them. Be smart, be safe, and I'll see you later.